What is up, MR2 fans? Welcome back. Last time you saw me remove the stuff from the top of the engine, and we had the clutch lines left to go. So today we're gonna get the clutch lines out, fully disassemble that piece, and then the AC compressor. That's the only thing that's gonna be left on the top of the engine. I am actually gonna leave that for the very last because I want to keep that system fully closed until the very last. I mean, it's gonna stay open for a while, but whatever. I'm gonna leave it on, and then right before I drop the engine, I'll disconnect the AC compressor. But for today, we're going to jump right into getting the clutch lines, as I said, and then we're going underneath the car to tear out all of the suspension. So everything under here is going to be removed. And then once that's free, then essentially it's just get the crane hooked up, drop the engine to the floor, and then jack it up, and we'll be able to get the engine out. So exciting stuff today. And I mean, this is, I'd say, maybe a part 2. Part 3 is where we'll actually drop the engine, but let's see. We might do everything in one video. We'll just see how much progress we can make. So let's get right to it. Alright, so here's the view from underneath. So basically this pin, I'm just going to knock it out that way. This one, knock it up that way. And that's going to free these two cables. And then we're going to remove, this is the lower pin. You saw the one on top, this is the lower pin. Going to pull it out, slide this off, and then these cables just pull right off. So pretty simple stuff, but we're going to get that done. And then these two bolts is still looking from underneath up. This one and this one, these two right here. I think if I take that off, and that upper bolt that you saw, I'll be able to get this engine mount and the clutch slave cylinder out without having to disconnect this clutch line, because I really don't want to try to have to bleed this thing again. Hopefully that works. So that's the plan. Let's do it. Go. Okay, so we took the clutch lines off and basically kept the lines connected to the bracket with the slave and everything, and I just turned it out of the way and put it, zip tied it to the far wall here, right on the fuel filler main line. So all of that is free. So as you can see, there's a free space here. It's not connected to the engine, so everything here is disconnected. Engine mount is out. That was removed here. So now we're gonna get the suspension out, and the axles are gonna come out. So I basically need to get the transmission fluid out of this thing. So I pulled the bung, and this I use a 15/16 socket. I thought it was a 24, but the 15/16 just seems to fit much better. So that I pulled right off camera, so it's actually free right here. Nothing's gonna drain because this is the filler one. But this one over here is, the drain bung, and this is the one we're gonna get the fluid out of. And you can see it's a little bit wet because the seal is actually starting to leak. So I'm going to replace those seals in the transmission anyways. So hopefully this axle comes out pretty easy, not too hard. And then the suspension pieces, that could be a pain, but hopefully those come out easy as well. So let's get this fluid drained, and then we'll jump right on the suspension, okay? All right, so let's get this bung out and get this fluid drained. And here's hoping nothing spills again. So I'm going to try to be agile here. Yep, there you go. So there's that red line shock, expensive oil, brand new as you can see, because I just replaced it. Just because I wanted this car to be perfect before I tore the engine out. Kind of crazy, but yeah, that's what I did. So we're just going to let this drain. And then while this is draining, I'm going to start taking some of the suspension pieces off, right? Because the reason why I'm draining this before is if I pull the axles out, then it's going to leak all over the floor and create a mess. So this is the cleanest way to do it. And it may leak still, but at least this is going to be cleaner. So, all right, so back on the suspension. So we're going to start with the passenger side. So essentially, I'm going to take the whole spindle here off with the arms and everything and just get everything removed. So we're going to start off by getting the brake caliper off. And well, actually, let's start off with the axle nut. So there's a cotter pin that goes in here. So basically remove the cotter pin from here. This guy right here. So we had this cotter pin, it was in here. Well, we had this and then this. So you pull the cotter pin out, pull the cap off, and then you use a 30mm socket, deep wall socket. This is an NA model, so I think the turbo models are 32mm, but 30 Honestly, for this, I use a breaker bar and the handle for the jack, and it came off pretty smooth. So I did spray it with PV Blaster. Everything was sprayed with PV Blaster before. So there you go. So the axle nut is loose. So I'm just gonna leave it hanging there for now. And then I went ahead and loosened up all the suspension pieces. So we got this arm back here. So here's the plan. I'm gonna leave the rest of the arm attached to the subframe. So we pull this bolt, okay? And a trick to this is the nut does not turn. So you gotta hold the nut firm and then turn from here. Because I actually messed up another one of these nuts. This little catch right here, I broke it off, and I'll show you that in a second. But so always make sure you're turning the bolt and not the nut here, all right? So we're gonna pull that, we're gonna pull the sway bar link. I'm pulling it from the sway bar down here. I'm gonna leave it attached to the strut, the coilover. So we'll take the coilover with this assembly and just detach it from here. So this will drop with the subframe. We're gonna pull these two tin bolts for the tin suspension. I'm gonna pull 2 bolts for the brake caliper, one here and one here on the bottom. Can't miss them. And then we're gonna pull this bolt right here. So again, this, as I explained with the one back here, you want to turn the nut that's going in this direction and not turn this. Just hold this so it doesn't turn, because you'll break this piece off. I broke it on, actually here you go. See, this broke off. So if you see, it should be fully solid, and I kind of cracked it right here. So I'll get another one of these from Toyota. So the nut goes in here, and it just stops it right when you're tightening this stuff up. So again, the trick, guys, just make sure you're turning the bolt and not the nut, okay? But this is loose, so we'll get that off anyways. And under here, I'm trying to get the camera up under here. We pulled these 2 bolts, this one and this one. Let me see if I can get this here for you. This one right here. These 2, basically these 2. See where my fingers are? So you want to get these 2 bolts out, and I just used the impact and they came right off. So essentially we're pulling here, we're pulling here. So this whole arm will basically come down with the subframe. So we're not going to mess with that. And we're pulling this one, so this arm will come down with the subframe. So the spindle will be free, so that can be removed. Once we get this axle nut off, we'll just pull that off. And I thought that was the easiest way to do it. So I'm probably going to just time lapse this so you'll see what's up. Alright, so I decided to just take the whole brake off because it was just pain in the butt to try to hang it, and I can just see it falling off when I'm trying to get the engine out and put the engine in. So either way, this thing would have to be bled anyways, because I'm going to put big brakes on the front. So hey, I guess this car is just going to go all apart before it goes all back together again. So I'm getting this line out. And I'm gonna get this brake off, and this will be a whole another install to get the braking system back on. So there you go. All right, and now I gotta get the e-brake section off. So let's see. Actually, I can. Yeah, what the heck? We're gonna take everything off. Just get this pin out. Alright, so what do we have here? Let's look at this side. Alright, so we got a little pin in here. And just a little pin. Ah, this stuff is messy. Got that little pin out for the e-brake. Sure, this thing pops right out. We get a little tool here. See if I can. Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. Out, goes with that, and then we're going to slide this guy out. Should slide out pretty easy. I was hoping it would slide out pretty easy. It looks like it's at the end. Alright, I can't see what I'm doing wrong, why this is not coming out, but I guess I'll mess around with this a little bit more. Alright guys, I'm on the last leg, so I got both suspension pieces off on both sides. I took the brakes off and everything, so haven't gotten the axle out yet because it's stubborn inside of the transmission. So I figure if I take the subframe down, it gives me more room to work and figure out what I'm going to do. So here it goes. I got one bolt out on this side. This is the second bolt on the left side. There are 4 bolts, 2 on either side for the subframe, and 3 in the middle for the engine mount, which I pulled already. So I'm just going to slowly drop this. I think it's going to tip forward, but we're just going to have to work with it here. So I got this jack stand. Hopefully it falls on. And let me get some wood blocks and just put underneath there just to be safe. I gotta save my floor. I don't want to damage my floor. I'm coming. Let's see how this is gonna go. If I'm gonna get a surprise, or I have an extra one of these, so I know they're quite heavy. So we'll see what happens. I know it's gonna tip forward too. There it is. I think I'm gonna drop the other side so it's even. So let's go to the other side. And I could use an impact, but my kids are sleeping. And I don't want to wake them up. So, doing it the hard way here. Oh, I need to get another jack stand. Well, let me get one more jack stand for this side. Taking too long. We're gonna make some noise and hopefully nobody wakes up. side's out. Okay, so interesting. The one in the front is longer than the one in the back. All right, didn't know that. So it's pretty rusty. So let's get to the other side, and this guy is free. Alright, subframe is out. Axles are dangling, so now we just gotta figure out how to get this on the floor. Alright, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring it down little by little. So then we got a jack underneath here. I'm just gonna slowly bring it down, but that's pretty much it. That's done. So I did it. See what time it is? Midnight. So putting in some work here. I'm all sweaty, I'm all messy, but all of the AC compressor, 2 bolts left to be pulled. Technically I can drop the engine, the axles are in, but we can't drop the engine down, but I'll work on getting the axles out tomorrow. And then we'll get ready to put the hoist up. So hopefully the next video you see this engine is gonna be out. So thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking in there. Let's get those subscriptions in. Send me some comments. I want to read some comments. I gotta be doing something right and I have to be doing something wrong. But give me some advice, alright? So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate your time.